Hi everyone, it's Sal Jade, and thank you so much for joining me here today for this free tarot seminar where I'm going to explore some tarot business tips for starting and growing your own tarot business, as well as being able to look at different tricky tarot questions and how to answer them. So today I'm going to be exploring should you do readings in exchange for Instagram follows and giving you some really good tips on how you can boost your social media reach. I'm also going to be looking at the question about whether you should read for children. So should tarot readings be done for children? If so, what are the ethics? What are the considerations? What are the exceptions? So what should you be thinking about in this particular realm? I'm going to look at mastering multiple choice tarot questions. So if you are someone who gets a bit tricked out and feel like that they are challenging, I'm going to help you look at them. I'm also going to be looking at how you can deal with the situation when you feel like that the way you interpret a tarot card is different to everybody else. And I'm going to be looking at how you can get some work at fairs and festivals if you are starting a tarot business or you're already a professional. So for those of you who don't know me, I have been blessed enough to have helped over 85,000 students around the world read tarot like an expert, as well as I run an advanced tarot and psychic business program on my Psychic Healing Academy, where I help tarot entrepreneurs who want to run soul-led tarot businesses, particularly focusing online. Now, I'm very excited to get started. If you have comments or questions along the way, please pop them in here. If you're watching this on YouTube, I always come back in and watch, and I always have a look and see what you're saying because I love to answer your questions. So anything that I bring up today that you feel like may be something you need more information on, you can pop it here. Or if you ever want to reach out to me privately and talk to me, just email me at sal@saljade.com. And also, if you want to have access to these free monthly tarot seminars that I do, I run them as either free business masterclasses for tarot or the way I'm doing it today where I combine tarot reading for accuracy and tarot business. Then do go to saljade.com and do check out the freebies because you can sign up for that and you'll get notified when I go live in Zoom every month. You can come along live and join me like Joey and Harvey and Sal and everyone who's with me today, and also ask questions too because I love to help with this particular topic. So let's get started by talking about this question that I see a lot in my tarot group. So for those of you who don't know me, I have a tarot group called Tarot Mastery. I have over 11,000 students in that who have purchased my Tarot Card Success course on Udemy, and they're all in this beautiful group together, and every now and then someone comes along who wants to offer a tarot reading in exchange for a follow on Instagram. Now, I used to actually allow this in the beginning, back in the pre-COVID era, because I thought, oh yeah, that's okay. You're giving a reading away. But over the years, I stopped doing it, and I'm going to share with you why. Because offering a reading in exchange for a follow on Instagram or a like on Facebook or even a subscribe on YouTube will significantly do a lot of damage to your business. And I'm going to talk to you about some better tips and things you can do instead. But first of all, it's really important to understand with Instagram, particularly, and Facebook and YouTube, that what they do when they are pushing out your content and your post and your offers, so you're selling your tarot readings on Instagram, or you're doing a pick a card reading, or you're doing, card of the day or something like that on Instagram as your content. What they do is they push that out first to your followers. So anyone who has followed your page. But if the people who are following your page are people who just only did it to get a reading, like they're not really that interested in anything else you do, they just wanted that free reading from you, they're not going to engage. And the less that your followers engage, the less that Instagram thinks that your content and what you're selling or what you're producing for them is valuable or useful, so it downgrades you. So even if you come and have the best offer or the best content, they will slowly erode your reach, so the way that people can see you. So that's why it's never a good idea to do those tactics as well. Like I've seen people do that over the years where they go and buy likes on Fiverr or buy followers. Like this is the thing that will absolutely damage your algorithm so badly on Instagram. You'll have to start a fresh channel. So not a good idea. Please don't ever give away your beautiful services and readings just for one like. And the other reason is because I had to ban it in my group in Tarot Mastery, because how do you know that someone might screenshot and say, "Yay, I liked you," but just because they like you doesn't mean next week they can't unlike you. So it's a very temporary thing to do. It's not the best way for you to build up your reach and attract clients to your tarot business. Something to really consider with your tarot business is how valuable your beautiful time is. Now, tarot readings that are free have become a dime a dozen. We can get them on YouTube. We can get them in tarot groups. We can get them all over the shop. And I often get asked, how am I going to start a tarot business or earn money as a tarot reader when there's so many free ones? So I do have a program that helps with this. I have a shorter program that goes for 4 hours that you can get on my website about how to start a tarot business in 2025. It's under 20 US dollars, so it's very budget friendly. And I have a bigger program where I can help you go into learning how to use Canva, YouTube, learning how to master the Instagram algorithm, different ways that you can build your house that is your business. Because becoming a free reader, like a free tarot reader, is the last thing you want to do to grow your tarot business. You should only ever be giving away free readings when you are getting testimonials and when you are growing your reach by that way, but it has to have a cutoff point. I would never encourage you to do more than 40 or 50 free readings ever in your lifetime, unless the people you are reading for are people that have influence that will go and shout your name from the rooftops. So unless that is who you're reading for, then please don't, or you're just practicing and getting testimonials, there's no other reason to ever give a free reading, because free readers that come and take that offer up, they're not going to pay you. I wish they would. It's very, very rare. I'm not going to say they won't. Sorry, that's a bit rude, but it takes a lot of energy and effort. If you think you're trying to get 1,000 followers on Instagram, and say your readings take you half an hour of your time, that's 500 hours of your time, like 12 weeks of working a 40-hour week to get 1,000 followers. That's not a sustainable long-term business. And social media is notoriously bad at trying to sell one-on-one readings because there are so many free ones out there. So imagine that you have, like, it's hot, it's a summer day, and there are two pools, and you need a swim, and one is a free pool and one is $20, and they seem exactly the same from the outside. Of course you're going to go into the free one. Why would you pay $20 unless there was something whiz bang in there? So for me, my job as a tarot coach and a tarot business entrepreneur coach is to teach people how to create those whiz bang offers that stand up above those free readings. But what I want you to do now, even if you're not in a position right now to work with someone like me, is I want you to start thinking that Instagram and Facebook exist for you to grow your visibility so that people recognize you as a tarot reader. And the only way you do that is not giving away free readings, but creating tarot content that is valuable, that is shareable, that is likable, that is engageable, that makes people want to talk to you. Social media is really, really social. Like, people go there and they want to engage with you. It's not a platform where you stand up and talk and you've got all these people in the audience and then they just stay engaged without that possibility and potential to engage. They'll just keep scrolling on to the next panda meme. Like, they will not stay with you unless you make them stop and engage. And then when Instagram, Facebook, when they see that, when they see you doing that people are liking your content and they're excited by your content, then they go, oh, this person's valuable. We're going to show more of their offers and we're going to put them out there more and more. Now, again, this is really hard to figure out when you're starting a tarot business. This is not something you would assume. We all assume that we just go there and put it on the marketplace and everyone will jump on our offers. But these are not how you sell tarot readings. Like, you sell tarot readings by driving people to your website, by exciting them with email signups, by getting them excited by your YouTube videos, or creating blogs or articles or content that makes them feel like they trust you and they want to work with you. So, and that's because, and you might say, well, what, Sal, I don't understand. Like, can't I just appear and give like a Facebook Live reading where I answer people's questions? Absolutely you can, although it's my least favorite thing to do. Like, for me, I feel like a lot of my students have told me the energy levels of, people can be really hostile on Facebook. And for me, I've had to really help and console a lot of my students that have tried to do this. They've tried to give free readings on Facebook in a live situation like this, and people just troll, or they're unreasonable, or they aren't really accepting what the beautiful gift is. And so for me, it's much better to do one-on-one. But for you, I want you to make you feel like this is something that's comfortable, that's not going to make you nervous. And I want you to feel that, okay, all I need to do is make people understand that I am someone who is trustworthy and authentic and warm, and I can help them. And that what I offer is above a standard of just a bog standard free reading that anyone can get. Like, that's your job as a tarot reader when you are starting a business. So please don't give away the farm by giving away free readings in exchange for likes. It'll mess up your algorithm. It will also cause confusion and chaos, and probably a bit of resentment, because if you then see that that person has unliked you, you might go after them and say, hey, because the thing is, what's the contract here? Like, have you said to them, okay, you have to like me and engage in my content every day for a month? Like, is that the deal? You can see how things can get very, very ambiguous and sticky and tricky. So for me, it's better to just try to find people that you think you can give a reading to that have a voice. So, and it might not even be other tarot readers. Like, it could be someone who's at your gym. Like, you could get, if you see someone who's one of the gym instructors, and start having a chat with them and offer to give them a free reading, because they will tell other people. Like, that's how that voice of mouth, word of mouth thing works, is you do it in that way, like a bit more organically. But doing it on social media, where people are so easily distracted, and it's so hard for them to stay focused on you when there's so many other shiny objects around, and there's also so many other free things around, that it's not a good strategy for me. For me, there's much better strategies that you can be using. So start thinking about what kind of content you can create on Instagram and Facebook that is not the bog standard pick a card, undo the deck. Like, think of original stuff that no one else is doing, or think of things that inspire you, that make you go, oh, I like that, and do your own tweak. Like, add your own version of it. Like, try not to copy everyone else. And that's another big mistake I see people doing. They copy and copy other entrepreneurs or other tarot readers. But the thing is, Facebook loathes and Meta loathes duplicate content. If they think you're just doing something that other people have done, they will, again, get rid of your reach, and then it'll be much harder to get to your ideal client and your audience. So I hope that has helped. Start thinking about content you can create. Make it stuff that your audience engages in and that they want to share with others, because that is what will boost your followers. The more you do that, the more that Instagram and Facebook shows whatever it is you're offering to non-followers, and that's how you grow. So I hope that has helped. Please pop your questions below if you have any questions or comments about that. So the next thing I'd like to talk about is the question of doing readings for children. And I had this one asked in my Tarot Card Success course the other day on the Q&A board in Udemy. And they were like, can I do readings for, one of my clients wanted me to do a reading for her children and bring them along. This is a little bit of a tricky question, and there isn't a simple black and white answer. There's a few layers to this, so stay with me as I work through this and unpack it for you. First of all, there is a universal law, according to how I've been taught and mentored over the years. Other people may feel differently. Please take what resonates. Where it's important to only read for people who ask permission to be read for, that give that permission, you have that consent. And reading for other people behind their back is not a great ethical way to go. However, if you are a parent, then you have a different universal soul contract with your child and your children. So I guess knowing information about them, there's a little bit of wiggle room in that for me. However, I'll say a couple of things about this. The first thing is, and I'm going to talk about two different versions of reading for children, because obviously reading for, children could come along and ask you to read for them and they're not your children, or getting a reading on behalf of your children. So that's two different things. So let's start with the getting a tarot reader to look into giving spiritual guidance and a tarot reading for your children. The first thing to remember is that your children's, depending on what their age is, and especially if they are like under, 15, 16, like their paths are going to weave and change so dramatically that for me, getting that kind of reading for them, I think is just too fluid and too changey. And things to remember about children is that their spiritual lessons are starting to evolve at that age, but they grow, and it's life experience that teaches them the lessons they need to know. So you might do a reading for your, say, your 13-year-old child and see that a whole bunch of bad stuff's about to happen. And then you might be freaking out and going, oh my God, my child, they got the tower and they got death and they got the three of swords and they got the eight of swords. And but really, if you think about your own teenage life, like your own teenage life was absolutely cram-packed full of the Three of Swords, getting your heart broken for that first time, like the Eight of Swords, feeling trapped by your environment, the Tower, like maybe losing your best friend because your other best friend has a bitch about them, and then everyone, it all falls apart and you lose all your friends and end up sitting on your own. Like those moments are actually a very normal part of being a teenager. They're a normal part of us building our resilience and growing. And I don't think it does any parent any favors to start freaking out and seeing doom and gloom in their child's life when it's actually just a very normal part of being a teenager. Trials and tribulations and puberty, and especially in today's modern age of social media, like the whole thing, like it's actually normal. So that's why I would be very cautious about getting any readings done about your own children, knowing that this is actually probably going to reveal some stuff that's not always going to be great. The second thing to consider is that, as I said, children's lives, they change, they're very fluid and flexible. It's really important, and especially as your children get older, that anything that you ask a tarot reader about that comes back, that you're not using it against that child. Now, parents often, we think we know what is best for our children, and we might think, and I'll give you an example. So I have a friend who was told that their parents were told by an astrologer that they're going to be a child who, could be successful, but they never finish what they start. Now, he was getting this thrown back at him right through his 40s, something that was given to him when he was like a baby. And the sad fact of it is it's not 100% true. Yes, sometimes he didn't finish tasks, but also he accomplished and achieved a lot of other stuff. But this was used as a bit of a weapon against him. And for me, like if there's anything that you are going to get from a tarot reader that talks about your child, like, so say for example, your child's at uni and they're like, oh, it doesn't look like they're doing much, they're partying, they're not studying. There is a certain line that needs to be drawn with respecting the privacy of your child. Okay, and that's really important. To go in and interfere, you have a right to do things to a certain degree and a level, but if you're using psychic information to manipulate situations, you've got to be really, really careful about that, because sometimes things are not your responsibility and your role. Now, obviously, they're drinking too much and partying. Yes, you have a right to intervene on that. But if they're going through a breakup with someone and it's really private and they really just feel like they need to just process it on their own, then they do deserve that respect and privacy. Something else to consider is that one of the reasons tarot can be a little bit flawed when you are reading for your children is because tarot is designed to be read for you and your spiritual journey. So better questions might be, what do I need to know about my son's studying journey right now? Or what can I do in this? Because we know that if we shift stuff, often our children and our loved ones will shift stuff. And often what will come out in cards is a mirror of what it is that we need to work on in order to have a more successful either relationship with our children, or a different mindset and mentality that's not pressuring them to want to run away or push you away. So it's really important to make sure that every reading you are doing, that you are taking any advice from a reader and not using it against them, not manipulating them, not trying to control their future, when they have to make their own mistakes, but also they have their own right to their own sovereignty. So just think about that a little bit. Yes, it's okay, but not a good idea if you're going to use it and weaponize it. Now, the other thing is, what if children are coming to you? Say you're Auntie Sal and your niece or nephew comes to you and wants a reading and they're 10. Okay, with that, I will play with the oracle cards. Like I used to give my goddaughter, like little oracle card fairy readings. You can do that. But with the tarot, I would be a little bit cautious because as we know, the tarot does have some dark themes that do reflect what life is. And sometimes a child may not be ready for that. And as I said, like sometimes it can be different because their little lives are so fluid. Things change so rapidly when you are a child that reading may not stick for very long. Okay, and so just keep that in mind. Don't set things in stone as much with children. And again, as I said, because children's lessons are about their spiritual lessons, it might be a long time before they're ready to learn their spiritual lessons because they're children. Like their prefrontal cortexes may not have developed to the level that they are able to take on that information and acknowledge it. So that's just a few things about child reading, reading for children to take on board. It's not a black and white answer, but do consider the ethics and do consider that it's not always going to be a reading that will necessarily stick. So I hope that helps. And please do make some comments below if you feel differently or if you've got any other questions you want to ask about this, about children and reading, pop them in. Now, I'm going to talk about multiple choice tarot readings. So, for those of you who don't know, last year I did release a course on Udemy on how to master multiple choice tarot readings with ease because I had so many of my students request doing this on a much more advanced level because they are tricky. Because the cards, when you look at, if you've got multiple options, like if you're like, should I go overseas? Should I study? Should I take this job or that job? What should I be doing? Should I be on this app or that app? We can be using multiple choice questions with the tarot all the time. It's very easy to turn to the tarot to do this. But it can be confusing because, again, returning to what I said about working with children, the tarot is about our spiritual lessons. So, on one level, multiple choice can be a good option in terms of, what is the best choice for me right now for my highest good? That's a good way to phrase them. But I see a lot of people, and I teach two different ways in tarot card success. I teach high versus low. So the highest card is the one that you go with, or positive versus negative, which is the card that feels like it's the most positive, is the winner. The problem with this is, and there's a few tricks with this, the high versus low is the easiest one to learn, obviously. It's just like doing playing cards. But there can be an intuitive icky feeling if you get the card like the Three of Swords rather than the Ace of Swords when you're asking, should I rent this house? Because the Three of Swords intuitively feels like heartbreak and disappointment. Whereas the Ace of Swords is like new beginnings and new things coming through that are really positive. So you can see how that can feel a little bit off. I prefer the positive versus negative way, but I teach in that course and I show examples and samples of how to do it and connect the dots of being able to go, but it's telling your client this is how you will feel if you make this decision. So if you make the decision to rent this house with the Ace of Swords, you're going to feel like you've got new inspiration. You're going to have come out of the clouds of fogginess and feeling like nothing's making sense and you've been feeling mentally a little bit lost and drained. If you choose the Three of Swords, you're going to feel like you're exhausted and disappointed. Like that's an easy one. Let me give you a more challenging one. What if you get two cards that are roughly similar in positivity? So something like the Six of Wands and the Six of Cups. Then you could say, okay, you are going to feel with the Six of Wands that you are moving forward, that you're actually making progress, that you're actually, hitting some runs, some home runs, some things you've been working on a while are going to really work out for you. Or you're going to feel like you're feeling really nurtured with that Six of Cups. Like maybe the people you live with or your neighbors are going to feel like a community and you're going to feel like you are open to nurturing. And it's going to feel a little bit like home. It's going to feel like maybe your hometown or something that's really going to make you feel safe and stable and secure. So you can see they are two different things. Putting it in the client's hand, or if you're doing it for yourself about what you think is going to work best for that situation is how I like to answer master multiple choice questions, is being able to put yourself walking in the shoes of the card. Basically, this is how you'll feel if you take this option. Now, something that is also a little bit tricky about multiple choice questions is sometimes the cards can be quite similar and people can get really freaked out and think, which one is it? Which one is it? And the bottom line is, and I say this about all tarot readings, please don't gamble your whole life on a tarot reading. Okay, now I'm someone who is, as I said, I've taught over 80,000 people how to read tarot, given thousands of readings. I love and am passionate about how tarot can transform your life. But if you put too much emotional attachment and investment in a reading, then you could really be missing some very key lessons and some soul journey experiences that you need to have. If you're trying to control the narrative too fiercely, you could really, really get yourself in some mental anxiety over tarot readings. And I see this all the time on YouTube with these daily tarot readings. I see people getting really anxious. So please make sure that sometimes two different options for renting a house aren't going to make such a big difference. So if, say for example, you actually really like one house, you're not 100% sure, say you're about 90% sure and you're about 70% sure about another house, and you get a card reading that's roughly similar like what I just said, you get those two sixes, and the one that's 70% gets the one that's closer to how you want to feel. Just go with that. Like it does, the world often won't end if you make a decision that's not 100% the best decision. And I feel like in life we could all help ourselves a lot more if we stopped being so precious about every decision we make having to be perfect. Because a lot of the decisions we make require and have lessons in it that we need to learn, and where we meet other people or we make other connections or we have other experiences which bring us more happiness and success. So just keep that in mind as well. Like you don't have to have the perfect answer about some of these questions that you're doing. So I hope that has helped everyone who's ever struggled with multiple choice questions. And again, if you're ever interested in doing my multiple choice question course, then go on to saljade.com and you can find it there. Now, I'm going to talk about what happens and what does it mean when you do a reading and or you're learning a tarot course or reading a tarot book, and the way you feel like the card should be interpreted is different to how other people do it. Now, this is a problem that I would call a modern day post-COVID problem that gets more and more confusing the more and more people who are running online businesses with tarot, doing YouTube readings on tarot publicly. That is, and the reason is because the truth of the matter is there is no one way to read tarot. And this is very confusing for most beginning tarot students, and quite upsetting and distressing, because sometimes you'll start to learn and you'll think, well, I've got it now. And then you'll see someone on YouTube do a reading and you'll be like, what? I thought that card meant that. I've been doing it wrong all along. Oh my goodness, all the readings I've done up until now are invalidated. And you'll get really anxious. And I see people do this because they start to do my course. So my course is a foundation level tarot card success that goes through all the cards. And they may see one thing that's a bit different to how they've seen it on YouTube or how they learnt maybe even 30 years ago through a book or another mentor. And the thing is, for me, every tarot card will resonate with you the way it resonates. There is no one perfect definition of every single card. I wish there was, but it's not like the law. It's not, and even the law, as we know, can be interpreted and reinterpreted. So try to think of it intuitively, how that card makes you feel. Try to think of it intuitively of what makes the most sense with the rest of the cards, because keep that in mind. Cards interpretations are not a color by numbers thing. They are not a bunch of dot points that will always make sense in every single circumstance, because human beings are so complex. We are so different, and our stories, like our, even if you think about the relationship, no relationship you've ever had has ever been the same exactly down to the T as the previous relationship that you had, or the one before that, or the one before that. They're all different, and they all have different life lessons and experiences. And if you had to map out each of your relationships in a tarot reading, they would all look so different because human beings are complex. So for me, if you stumble across a card and you are passionate about interpreting it in a certain way, stick with that, because tarot for me is about discovering your own intuitive learning journey and what comes in for you. That's a really, really important thing to remember for yourself. I saw in a Facebook group the other day, not mine, but another one, someone had actually written, so who's got the best and real interpretation, and named five different tarot teachers. And there were 75 different responses about who was the best and how none of them was the best and how this is how you do it. And I remember just going, move away from that topic. And I actually even commented, I rarely comment on Facebook posts like that, but I commented about what I'm sharing with you now. And then someone jumped all over me and went, oh, blah, 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 blah. Because I said, well, I think just focus on one tarot teacher at a time. And then when you build up your confidence, go and expand and have more tarot teachers, and then you'll see, and you always get added other dimensions and interpretations. Nothing is wasted, nothing is lost. It is the Eight of Pentacles. You're working towards a craft and a skill. If you were going to be a jewelry crafts person, you wouldn't just study under one person and think that's the only person you ever study under. So learn from different people. But in this posting, this person was like, no, I think when beginners start, they should have as many different teachers as possible and get as much information as possible. And I was like, politely disagreeing, because I know that it can be overwhelming for a lot of beginners unless they are naturally really attracted to the tarot and they can naturally see the pictures, which can happen with artists, by the way. I might say people who are artists often have a much easier time of learning the tarot. The symbology seems to speak to them a bit louder and it's intuitively easier for them to grasp. But for other people and most of us, it does take a little bit of learning and time. So I hope that has helped. So I'm going to move on to some tarot fair and festivals. But before I do, I've got a couple of questions here. Now, hi Sally, happy to be here today. Is it true that so Harvey says, is it true when you do a tarot reading to someone, the querent needs to give payment or something in exchange? I remember when I was little, a friend of my mum read tarot for her and said that she needed something in exchange for it to work. So she asked for 5 cents or a symbolic payment. That's a great question. Look, this is probably one of the most controversial questions you can find in the tarot realm. And over the years, I've had people message me with very angry, shouty messages about my opinion of it. And for me, giving someone a tarot reading is a gift. And I think if you're going to do it to practice and to learn, that you be selective with who it is that you give this gift to. The problem that I feel is a lot of tarot readers, they don't value their own energy. And a lot of people who are drawn to tarot are very empath rescuey types. I know that I can be. And so it's very important to protect your energy and protect your peace of mind and not set yourself up as a tarot ATM. So that's the side of, yes, there should be something exchanged. The universe loves exchanges. So for me, I used to, in How to Be Psychic, I talk about that, about how, even exchanging a reading with someone, or, like a $20 Amazon gift card, a box of chocolates, if it's faced, acknowledging that it is a gift that someone is giving you. It is not something that they are entitled to. So that, for me, is a yes. I do think it's good to have an exchange. But I think while you're practicing, it's good to build it up. But every now and then you might be inspired to give someone a free reading. So to give you a good example of this, Harvey, in my tarot cards, in the Tarot Mastery group, recently, one of the biggest problems that happens when you have a group of students who are trying to learn and they're practicing against each other in exchange for feedback is very occasionally you'll get people who will not return that feedback. And because I've got 11,000 people in the group, I have a system in place where I can chase people up, but it has to be, they have to follow a whole lot of steps first before I will get involved, because otherwise I'd be chasing thousands of people all the time, which is not, going to happen. So for me, what I feel like is the best thing to do is to be really clear that, okay, I'm going to give a limited amount of free readings because I want to practice or learn. Now, when there's a bit of chaos because people aren't valuing it, and sometimes people won't even thank people. Some people won't even read the reading. They'll just jump on any free offer. So that's why you've got to be very selective with where you place your offers. Will the world end if you give someone a free reading? No, but I like I recently decided in that, where I'm going with this story, is I recently decided in that group that maybe it would be better to just keep it to an exchange only. So maybe two people exchanging readings, and that way my whole group's just exchange only. No giving away readings in exchange for feedback, because it seemed to be causing all these problems. But and I put it to the group, I mean, which was, interesting, 11,000 people. And I said to them, I went in there and I said, what do you guys think we should be doing? Like, is this causing too much trouble? Are people feeling like they're being taken for granted? Or people are spending half an hour on a reading and getting a thank you back and that's it. What is it that I can do to serve you that makes you feel more confident as a tarot reader and feel like you're safe in this space? And should I just make it exchange only? Because that's how I love to do it. I think you should just do exchanges. That's my preference, because then both of you have skin in the game and both of you are treating it like a ritual that is sacred. But I got a whole bunch of people reach out to me and go, no, Sal, I don't want to have to exchange. Sometimes I don't feel like a reading. Sometimes I just like practicing. Sometimes I just, I feel like it's a gift to do this and I like to help people. So it's really an individual choice, is the abridged version of saying that. It's an individual choice for what you feel works for you. Everyone's going to be different, but I do know, especially if you've got an empath rescuer thing, if you are setting yourself up as a free reader, then they're going to come out of the woodwork. It's like giving away, ice cream on a hot summer day. And they're going to all come swarming, and you might find that energetically very hard to put up your boundaries. And you also might find, hey, wait a minute, I'm still struggling to pay my bills. And hey, wait a minute, running a tarot business, and I teach you this in the Advanced Tarot and Psychic Business program, it costs a lot of money to run a tarot business. It's not just picking up your cards, because when you are online, you have subscriptions and you have things you have to advertise and you have to study and you pay and invest in so much different stuff. And your time that you spent, even if you're watching YouTube videos about how to succeed on YouTube, that's your time. So for me, yes, there should be things that are exchanged. That is yeah, definitely. But if you choose not to, that is completely up to you. So I hope that helps. But I love what you're saying. Perfect, super clear and useful answer. Thank you. So I'm going to get back to the questions. There's a few more questions here which I'll get back to, but before I do, I'm just going to go in and answer my final thing about works and festivals. And I actually forgot to thank everyone. I'm sorry. I forgot to thank everybody who reviewed my courses on Udemy this week. Thank you so much to Kelly Jeans, Utari Kadai, Michaela White, and Tanya Pizzolato for I think you guys reviewed my career readings course on Udemy and my how to read tarot when you struggle to remember the cards and tarot card success. Thank you so much for doing that. I know how busy we all are. Taking the time to review my courses means so much to me. So thank you. So my last little section I'm going to talk about is, and I'm doing it, it's a bit of a cheaty way that I'm doing it today because I've already actually got a whole 45-minute seminar on this, but I'll give you a few tips out of it. And that is how to get work at fairs and festivals as a tarot reader. So a couple of months ago, was it a couple of months ago? It might have been last year. I gave a interview and shared a seminar with the wonderful Scarlett Darkwood, who travels around America and she works in fairs and festivals and corporate events. So the full interview of that is available on my YouTube channel, Sal Jade Tarot. So do hit subscribe, go into the playlist of how to earn income from tarot and you'll find it in there. But I'll give you a couple of tips now. So the first thing she talked about, which really fascinated me, because I've worked at fairs and festivals like Mind and Body Spirit and other ones, but it's been quite a while since I've done it. So I wanted something that was a bit more updated, and she's doing it like in today's market, is that surprisingly some of the best experiences you can have in tarot fairs and festivals and getting work is doing it outside of the box. Now, the rule of thumb when you are running a tarot business or any kind of business is to hang out where your ideal client will be hanging out. So you might think, well, I should just go and apply for lots of fairs and festivals and tarot fairs and mind, body, spirit festivals. Now that is a good idea. And as I said, in that interview, I've got lots of different tips that you can get from that. But they can often be even very popular and harder to sort of get into. And they might even have a stricter kind of criteria. Whereas if you start looking at, she talked about, Scarlett talked about like craft fairs and things like that, like places that are a little outside the box where people might be wandering around and they're like, oh, I've always been curious about a tarot reading. Maybe I'll have a tarot reading. And there wouldn't be as much competition there because it's basically you're not looking at 500 tarot readers that they're getting fatigued, people are getting fatigued about there's too many, maybe I'll choose no one, I don't even want to have to think, I'm just tired and I want a tarot reading, I don't want to have to think about a decision. So sometimes doing things like craft fairs and things that are a little like other little market stores like farmers markets, if you can, like places like that that are a little bit outside the box, can be a better place to do a tarot reading because, as I said, they wouldn't be as such a strong criteria, not as much competition, and less sort of buyer fatigue. And for me, so doing something like that is a really great way of getting yourself out there. And the other little tip that Scarlett gave in that interview that I just remembered is that you just need to make sure that if you're setting up a stall in one of these fairs or festivals, that you brand it according to what the fair or festival is. So, for example, if you were doing a craft stall, you may not do the big tablecloth with pentagrams and black candles and the whole thing because that might intimidate, the average person. Not that people that go to craft stores are all a stereotype, but people who are not familiar with tarot or they're a little bit scared of it, that might just scare them away a bit. So you do something a bit more softer and gentle with that, like maybe some lighter crystals and some lighter fabrics and a bit more gentle, have some oracle cards there too. But obviously if you were at a tarot fair and festival and you've got a beautiful pentagram on like tablecloth and you've got that as part of your branding and your look, then yeah, absolutely have it there. So that was another one of her little tips. So if you want more on that, again, I'll pop that in. Go to my YouTube channel and subscribe, or if you're on my YouTube channel, subscribe to it and look at the playlist, How to Earn Income from Tarot. I've got a whole lot of little short tutorials there about different ways to earn income, including on phone line readings and just different ways to do that. So I hope that has helped everybody who has come along today. Thank you so much for coming. Those of you who I've mentioned before, my Advanced Tarot and Psychic Business Program is still taking enrollments for the evergreen version. So that is hugely discounted. It has right now, because it's not the full version that I did earlier in May, which had the 7 group coaching calls. Instead, this has over 60 hours of content, which will teach you how to grow a profitable, soul-filled, heart-centered tarot business that you love. And I've put a whole lot of new content in there this year, which I'm so excited about, including how to overcome the AI tarot phenomena, but also how to use AI in your tarot business productively, as well as how to create content on Canva for your YouTube channel, for your website, for your Facebook and Instagram that will be shareable and engageable. I've also got a whole new section on money and taxes and subscriptions that you need to buy to run your tarot business online and what you can get for free, which is very valuable, as well as private coaching with me, where I identify what your niche is, because I want to set you above all those free readers and I want to make it so that people see your offer and they stop in their tracks and they go, I have to work with this person. I want to get a reading from this person. So creating powerful, transformative tarot readings and tarot healing sessions, clairvoyant healing training is what I also give you, as well as advanced channeling, to be able to offer sessions that transform people's lives and also that give you long time loyal clients that keep coming back for more and that shout your name from the rooftops. So that's that program. You also do get certified with the IICT, the International Institute of Complementary Therapists, as a tarot practitioner to get insurance. And if you ever want to be a tarot instructor like me, there is a pathway to doing that as well. So if you'd like to find out more about that, just go to saljade.advancedtarot. Or if you want to have a conversation with me on Zoom, reach out to sal@saljade.com. I'm happy to pop on for 10 minutes and find out if it's the right program for you. Or you can email me at sal@saljade.com and ask, is this right for me? Is it going to suit me? What's involved? Yeah, because this is a program that I've been doing for since 2017 now. So I've helped hundreds of people build and launch those tarot careers through this program. And now I've got the most updated version. So this is the 2025 version, which is a new version. I hope that helps. Oh, Sally's just commented, it's amazing. Thank you, Sally. That's such a beautiful thing to say. It's so wonderful. So, any other questions I'm going to answer here? Otherwise, thank you so much for joining me. If you're on YouTube, do hit subscribe so you always get these, or sign up to my free tarot training seminars that are every month. Join me live on Zoom every month. I'm going to come back in and read any comments that you've got or any questions, because I do love to see what's being written and what's going on in the tarot world for you. Any challenges you're having, pop them in there and I will come back in. And I'm just going to answer a few more questions here. So, Sally, you're communicating so clear and enlightening, creative and amazing. Thank you. Perfect. Joey, my question is, now I have an official website. Yay, Joey! And officially trying to do readings. I can't find a single person to read for. What should I do? Move out of the Bible Belt? I'm in Alabama. Wow, that's a good question. So, the first thing I would think about is I wouldn't leave home, because there's still obviously opportunities for you to read online. But think about, even though you are in the Bible Belt, I want you to think about opportunities within your town that could exist that may be a little bit outside the box. So, what I mean by that is, just because you live in a place that is predominantly quite conservative when it comes to things like tarot readings doesn't mean there are not your soul pod, your tribe around, or people that are maybe even a little bit open to it. It just might mean either hosting your own events, like meetups or things like that are a little bit different, like maybe like therapies that maybe are a little bit more open-minded, that they are, and then talking about tarot. So, or you could approach local massage, like people that do massage, for example, or people that do any kind of alternative therapy, and ask them if you can leave your brochures and cards, maybe in exchange for giving them a reading, something like that. Like, look at doing it in ways that would still have people that could be aligned with what it is you're doing. So that's the first thing I do, is look for people who are in your community. So one of the ones I've talked about before is in health food shops. That's a great place. And looking at places where, yoga studios, Pilates studios, offer to give the owner or manager a free reading. Probably the manager, owner's usually quite busy. But ask if, can I put a brochure up, or I'm running a competition to win a free one, like things like that. Like, you can offer to do those kind of things. Raffles are great. So you could do something like, if you know of local charities, you can, throw in spiritual guidance. You can also do other things like calling yourself spiritual counseling. So this is something that I have seen people do and work with, and when they've worked with me one-on-one in terms of branding, it's calling yourself a spiritual counselor rather than I am a tarot reader. So offering that as part of your services can also reduce any fear or stigma that people might have on tarot readings. So that could be one way, is looking at intuitive counseling as a way, and thinking about how you're branding yourself. So there are a couple of different ideas of things that I would think about if you're in that conservative realm and you feel like you can't put yourself out in the community. So even, like popping something up at the supermarket, like, intuitive counseling, spiritual counseling, something like that, and see how that goes. And what you could do with that is use your intuitive gifts and then bring cards in. Now, obviously, too, things you can think about in the Bible belts is there are a lot of oracle cards that have saints and that have angels. So those kind of things, incorporating them into your readings as well, and seeing where people feel comfortable with that. So that's something you could think about, and getting them to pick the card. So that often gives the power over to them. It's like, okay, I'm going to shuffle and give to you, you pick the card. So they feel like it's more like, okay, this is on me and I'm doing it, not your, speaking devil talk to me. I guess is one way of looking how that can be interpreted. So I hope that's helped, Joey. I will rewrite it for you, Sal. I understand what you say about universal law, and I remember what you said on your course about only asking if it affects you. Yeah. But thinking of being able to practice, can I do a reading, for example, a missing kids case for a public case? Okay, no. No, sorry, yes, no. Like to develop intuition and journal the answers and then see the outcome. Okay, that's a good look. That is a good question. I will not tend to do world events because you've got to think about, for me, and the best rule of thumb I can give of this is that my friend Denise Litchfield, who is a world renowned medium, and she often gets people that contact her and say, can you give me a reading for Michael Hutchence, or can you give me a reading for some dead rock star? And she can't do that because there has to be love there and connection. So it's the same with the Diddy case. Like, I know it sounds weird, but it's probably actually none of your business whether or not Diddy is found guilty or acquitted. So the tarot will work with what's on your business. So what affects you. Now, let's say, for example, and someone asked me this about Israel and the outcome for Israel a couple of years ago. And I said, because you live in Israel and this is going to affect you, then yes. But if you lived on the other side of the world and it's not really affecting you and you're just kind of peeking in, then generally I think the tarot will give you pretty obscure answers. Maybe there'll be something in there, but using it to tell the future and fortune telling for me with tarot does not work so well because it will tend to only reflect back at you what is your business and what you can control in your environment. You can't control what happens to Diddy unless you're involved in that court case. So if you were someone involved in that court case, then yes, but since you're not, I would think it's better to practice on real people and get real and people that are actually asking you questions and then test it that way or practice on yourself. Like, if you want to, as I said, tarot for fortune telling is very limited because we all make changes and do different choices, and tarot's real benefit to you is how can I best get the outcome I need. And so for me, what I would do with that is maybe practice, okay, this week or this month or this year, or probably this month is good because then you've got a bit of time, what's going to happen in my job? Or what do I need to know what's going to unfold in my job? And then draw a few cards, say 5 cards, and see at the end of the month how that has unfolded. That's a better way to practice than peeking in at things that are probably not really directly affecting you. Because as I said, the tarot exists for your spiritual guidance and your choices here on earth. So there's no skin in the game for you with a Diddy trial. I hope that makes sense. Perfect, noted. Thank you. Love the idea of my job of the week. Yeah, absolutely. Looking at your job for the week and then testing that without freaking yourself out, because that's what people do. They pull cards and they might get a few dark ones and go, oh my God, now my work, I wish I hadn't done that. It's ruined my week. But sometimes it might be, yeah, you might have a bit of a tower moment because you realize, I don't know if I want to work here anymore. And that's all right. Maybe your boss is rude to you. It doesn't mean the world's ending. It just means you make a decision. This isn't the right job for you. So that, look at how that works. So I hope that helps, my love. Promise I won't freak out. Awesome. Thank you, Harvey. Has anyone else got any other questions? Synchronicity. Oh, synchronicity. Joey, you wrote that. Oh, you do write that the exact same time that I wrote it. That's hilarious. You live in a college town and you want to offer readings for priority events. Oh, yes. Now that is what I call a target rich tarot environment. Oh my God. My Zoom's doing that thing. Look, can you see? I can't move too much. I'm going to stay still. Zoom's doing it's moving when I move. Yeah, it's giving, yeah, like absolutely. That's a very, a target rich environment in that is perfect. College town. I love it. Okay, I think that's everything. If I've missed something, please pop it in or email me at sal@saljade.com. Thank you so much, everyone that's come today. Thank you, Harvey, Joey, Sal. Thank you, everyone else. And awesome. Thank you so much. And to those of you who are watching on the replay, thank you so much for watching. Bye.